producing is sort of a real big umbrella of things. You can produce a lot of different situations. You can produce a record. You can produce an event. You can produce a show. You know, and I kind of do all of that. But as far as producing or recording a record, you know, you have to have a certain amount of knowledge on how to work equipment, first of all. But because you know how to work equipment doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to produce a record. You know, they have people that can do each individual thing. Now, writing, on the other hand, writing a song is totally different and is a whole another level of expression and art. The way technology is nowadays, you don't have to play any type of an instrument. All you have to do is to know how to run a certain program, know how to press record, and have a creative mind to put a really good record together. You know, if you know what you want your record to sound like, you can create it based on certain loops, samples, bringing in other musicians who know how to play and say, oh, I like this and I want my beat to go like this. Boom, chat, boom, 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 chat, 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 boom, chat, you know, and then I want the bass line to go something like boom, 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 you know, add in chord. I like that chord. No, I don't like that chord. The melody sort of sounds like this, and you don't even have to be a good singer. You could just kind of hum it and then get a singer to come in and sing it back and be like, yes, I love that. Let's record that, you know, and put that together and not play one note and come up with the most beautiful record, Grammy Award winning song that's ever been done, you know. And a lot of producers today work that way and don't play one note. Wouldn't know a C from a C sharp, you know. So, but then you have producers who do play instruments and do play multiple instruments and write and arrange, you know. And I think the more you understand instruments and vocals makes you a better producer in general, and you'll probably have more of a longevity in the business, in the music business. That's my personal opinion. I think people will take you a little bit more serious, particularly in the pop world and in the, you know, R&B world and the jazz world and the classical world. But in the, let's say, quote unquote hip hop world, not so much. Like, you just have to have a really good creative ear, a good ear for the streets, for what the people want to hear, know how to run some programs and or certain machines like samplers or you know, looping machines, things like that. You know, it's easy to, you know, touch an MPC. This is my MPC. Like, a lot of people just have this in their studio and that's it, and we'll create a beautiful record, you know. But then I have keyboards here. You know, there's all kinds of synth software out there with different samples and programs that allow you to do anything. And then obviously we can't forget about live music. You know, live music is still very important in making records these days, you know. I think that is an element of music that is kind of getting lost today. But when you can add all this MIDI, like make a really good record using via MIDI, which is musical instrument digital interface. We living in a digital world. So playing, you know, you can create a drum track pressing buttons instead of having a drummer in a studio. That's okay. You can get away with that in pop music today. However, there's certain things that you can't duplicate. For instance, it's just certain like instruments like the violin. If you want like an orchestra, like, it's best that you go ahead and like get your violinist in the studio and have them record for you, because unless you have the best samples in the world, it's just different than, you know, having somebody come in and actually playing it, the feel of it, the timbre of that instrument, you know. I've never heard a good saxophone sound ever on any kind of keyboard or MIDI instrument or anything like that. I'll bring in the saxophone player, you know. I think that people who don't know much about the art of being a musician, um, I mean, more power to them. You know what I mean? If they're making their money and making records and they don't know about instruments or whatever, I mean, respect to them, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I hope that the respect is turned around when they meet a producer or live musicians who actually play instruments. So I think for me, as far as like spending a lot of years being a musician, you know, I might never ever like produce a Grammy Award winning record. But that's okay because I do a lot of other things that I'm very satisfied with in my life and in my career. I make great music. I surround myself with great musicians, and great producers and great writers, and I've been fortunate to be put in situations where my career as a musician, I've been very, very happy with so far. Yes, there's so many other things that I would love to do. Yes, I would love to be a multimillionaire making my music, but I'm okay, you know. So I think it's a part of the journey. I don't think everybody's journey is not the same. So, and I may never ever be a millionaire, and that's okay too. But I'm a millionaire as far as my knowledge and my experiences in touching lives, making music, teaching people about music, producing with other people, creating something from an infant stage and it being something inspirational for somebody else, getting on stage and conducting in Carnegie Hall, you know, that kind of a thing. Like, no amount of money can buy that. I think producing a record today in, you know, 2013 is a lot easier than it was in, you know, 1960s, you know, because of the technology that we have. It's a lot faster. It's a lot user-friendly, you know. You can produce a record in an hour if you're real good. You can produce a track in 5 minutes, you know, and not bring in one musician. So it's definitely easier, I think, in today's world.